All right, I'll call a meeting of the Fire Commission for December 11th, order at 7:02. Y'all join me for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, first item of business is consideration of approval of the regular meeting minutes from November 13th. Motion?
Take a motion, we accept the minutes as recorded.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Public comment? Any none? Chairman's report. Just a couple of brief things. I attended the selectmen's meeting on 12/4 along with Chief Baker, where we discussed the purchase of the 2 portable radios for Truck 4 and the maintaining Engine 3 as a frontline piece of apparatus for Stony Hill Fire Department. And those 2 recommendations were, well, they were both accepted by the Board of Selectmen, and the recommendation to purchase the 2 portable radios was forwarded to the Board of Finance, and Chief Baker and myself attended that meeting last night, where the expenditure was approved for both those radios. As I said, the Board of Selectmen accepted the Commission's recommendation to maintain Engine 3 as a frontline piece of apparatus for the time being for Stony Hill. I spoke with Brad today regarding the budgets. I'm sure it's Chief Baker, probably Chief Evans knows as well at this point. Brad wants the budgets in by the end of December. Having this commission hadn't seen anything from either fire department on the budgets yet, so I explained to him that in all practicality that's not going to happen. You guys really need to move forward with these budgets. We got to get them in. I spoke with Chief McCollum last night, and he informed me that he was not going to be in attendance tonight and that he has not prepared a budget at all yet. And I'm not sure where he's going with that. He seemed to indicate that he was waiting until after elections, which is not acceptable because while I did speak to Brad, he does expect it by the first week of January. So that's before our next regular meeting. So we're going to have some special meetings and get them squared up. So guys.
Yeah, I have a tentative budget written, but Chief Evans was away on vacation. We haven't had time to really discuss any changes that he would like to make.
All right, coming up further down in our agenda, we got, we're going to discuss special meeting dates. Hopefully you can get something together before whatever date we schedule for special meeting. Like I said, Brad really expects them by the first week of January. He wanted them by the end of December. I told him it wasn't going to happen. He got them to, end of the first week of January, mid-January. Let's work on those. That's all I have for the chairman's report.
And that's using the new template.
That's hopefully using the new template, yeah, where they're side by side for each department, so we can compare apples and oranges and pears. Motion to accept the chairman's report. All those in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Commissioners' comments. Anybody any comments? No. Nope. Not on this. John? Nothing?
Okay,
I mean, I can show you the chief's report, but I mean.
Oh, just general comments?
Yeah,
I'm assuming, like,
general comments, if not, otherwise we'll just move right into
the chief's report. Last month was a good month. We had 41 calls. Most of that was generated based on the dry weather. We had 14 illegal burns. We lucked out. We really didn't have a brush fire per se. Bethel's district did have one off Linda Lane. It was about a 75-foot radius, and they were there for a little while. I did take all the information that we got from that call and sent it to the state forestry DEP, and because we can get reimbursed for fighting brush fires. They have a formula for figuring out actually manpower, figuring out apparatus that was used, and the amount of time on scene for volunteers. This isn't for career departments, but
that reimbursement goes directly to the town or to the fire departments.
That goes to the fire departments, and it's not a lot. No. I think after I did the math, I don't have the form with me, but it was like less than $300. It was like $250.
What was the source of that fire? It was like in the middle of the woods.
Yeah, I don't know what they determined was the source.
Under investigation.
Ah,
Understand that answer?
yeah, I do.
So there's, truly is under investigation.
Like those unoccupied houses with no power. that burned down.
Yes. We did have, some repairs done to the, firehouse. We've got new, island in the day room and countertop. We have, new, sink in the day room, countertop in the community room, and a countertop in the, radio room. There was some money left over after those improvements were done, and they're gonna work on some, patching of the ceiling in the community room. There was some, cracking in the sheetrock, as well as some, staining from some roof leaks that have been repaired. We had a great showing for our food drive that we did at Big Y. It was a great turnout with people. We had almost the entire U-Haul filled up, which is significantly better than we did from the previous year. Not our best year, but it was definitely great for the Brotherhood in Action, where the food goes is to replenish from Thanksgiving and fix the depletion for the next holiday for the Christmas season. And we're getting ready for our Santa run that we do. The ladder truck is been outfitted, ready for doing calls, and we have Pierce coming out this weekend to start doing some training on actually how to use the apparatus.
You have a date you expect to put it in service yet?
That depends on driver training and the how the class goes. So we don't really have a tentative date, just to be sure we're absolutely ready. That's also going to be dependent on weather, getting driver training done.
Okay. Just a reminder, John, or even Doug, we discussed last month, some of the content we wanted to see in the chief's reports. You got your call totals in there. I assume that was just fire calls? 40,
Just fire calls.
Yeah. We'd also like to see if you could detail, what apparatus responded, how many times each piece of apparatus responded. Okay. And such. And number of manpower hours, or number of personnel that responded, to the calls. So a motion to accept Chief Baker's chief's report.
A motion we accept Chief Baker's report.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Chief's. Billy, do you have a chief's report for Bethel?
Chief, echo some of the things that John said. We are just about at 500 calls this year. I was doing fire reports this morning. It's been very busy. And we did have a couple extra brush fires. He had the one on Lincoln Lane. We had that long metal one line that's pretty significant. And went up the hill. Thank God there were 2 members out doing driver training. We come back from that mutual aid call at Reading, and a couple of guys before they went to work asked for some help with the driver training, and they went out. Thank God they're only about a half mile down the road from the call came in. Wires come down, set a brush fire, and it was aggressively going uphill towards the house. If we had responded from the firehouse, I don't think we would have made it there in time. We would have hit the house. So both occupants of the adjoining properties came to the firehouse this past week and had envelopes for them from the fund drive. Both said we wanted to make sure you saw these envelopes, on which we appreciate it. That was good to hear. And moving along, the Winterfest activities last week. I want to thank you guys for coming down. There was a little bump in the road with the Chambers event. The contract that they had contracted with Private Horse-Drawn Wagons forgot to come, and they called him at the last minute. And he was coming from Canton, Connecticut, and he said he would be late. There were literally hundreds of people in line waiting for Horse-Drawn Wagons. So Mohammed, the co-chairman, chamber called and he asked, he said, anything you could do is. He said, got any ideas on anything? He said, well, yeah, a huge number of people down here. I said, give me a minute. I called Chris. Said, you know, well, how about we get fire truck rides till we get this thing straightened out? And he said, call Dan. Dan Carter approved it. Dan called over Stony Hill, got those guys. John and I communicated. We got it going. We got down there and I got out. I got there just before they did. Made an announcement to the general public exactly what had happened and that it was going to be a considerable amount of time where the wagons were and stuff, etc. And that we're going to give the public fire truck rides. A couple of people gave me a little something, but the third, fourth, fifth, sixth people, I said, "Oh man, it's cold. We'll get in the truck right now." And we literally, I counted, we probably, I don't know, over 200 people. And every one of them said afterwards how much they appreciated what the fire department did. And most of them actually said this was better than right. Horse-drawn wagon. When the horse-drawn wagon contractor got there, he also could not start his operation because I guess by law you have to have a tender and a driver. He didn't have a certified tender, so they just sat on the side of the road. And by the time I got going, it was about 4:15, 2 hours and 50 minutes later than we're supposed to have started. And then on the positive note, Doug will tell you the other guys. Fortunately, as I was pulling out the engine, we noticed the commotion on the side of the road, stopped, and a elderly woman had passed out. She was unconscious on the side of the road. We were able to get out, get to work on it right away. Stony Hill pull up behind us, helped us out until we got an ambulance to the scene. And it worked out good. She was on the ambulance came down to the hospital. I understand it worked out okay. But again, if they had a wait, no person come from the firehouse, whatever. I've got to go to the van. So that worked out okay. And then the last thing, Chief, was you and I talked today about the bottles. Would you like me to talk about that for a second?
Yeah,
I'll just give you a quick overview.
just going back to that, I went back and looked, and we put in for 18 bottles for the upcoming year. I don't think you're gonna have the money you expected for 18, but we're still waiting on those new ones to come in. I don't know what's happening. I mean, that money's still earmarked for them.
They said that they'll make an announcement in January.
Right. But yeah, go ahead and speak.
Chief and I discussed earlier today. I didn't get a chance to call you, John, or Doug, or anybody, but just very recently, Sky Airpack has come out with the 30-year bottle. And the 30-year bottles are either 30-minute, 45-minute, 1 hour bottle. They're a little bit heavier than the current weight of the bottles. So the 30-minute bottle is about 1.8 pounds heavier. 45 is like 2.25 pounds, 2.5 pounds heavier. And a 1 hour bottle is about 3.25 pounds heavier. They're thicker, obviously, for strength. Fortunately, the original quote I got was twice the cost of the 15-year bottles. Subsequent to that, the salesman walked the back. No, it's only going to be between $200 and $300 more per bottle. So you get a 30-year bottle. I say a 30-minute soda, 30-year bottle. Was the price quote around $1,550 versus about $1,350.
Twice the time for a quarter of the price.
What's that?
Sounds like it's twice the time for about a quarter price increase.
That's correct.
Yep, it's a great deal.
So the only thing they said that they're not finished analyzing is that they think that at the end of the 15 years, first half of the bottle's life, that they're going to institute a program that they get bring it in for an overhaul. As an reduce it. But that could be a considerable savings, with only a very, very slight increase in weight. The weight of the half-hour bottle, the increase in weight would be about 1/2 the additional weight of goes to the 45-minute cylinder at today's weight. Obviously, considerably more. We went to the 30 and 45-minute bottle, and it's going to help the fire service out They also stated that the wear and tear on the bottle might be a concern for an extremely active department where the bottle may take a beating and not last. They said for a slow or an average department, the 30-year would be a very feasible purchase. So, pretty much what I got.
What does the current bottles weigh?
Current, around 12.
That's just 14 or 45 is 15 or whatever.
It's about 2.5 pounds, reach to go to the 2.5, 2 3/4 pounds to go to the 45, and the 15 minutes, the half hour, excuse me, the 1 hour bottle is about 15.5 pounds. And we use that 1 hour bottle for our rescue packs, our RIT packs, or hazmat operations.
What are the consensus of your firefighters with the extra weight? Have you run it by them yet? Have you run it by the department yet?
We just found out about this in the last couple of days.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be something we should discuss. You could save the town a lot of money in the long run. You know, instead of having to replace the bottles after 15 years, pay an extra couple $100 and bottles last 30 years. So essentially, we're probably reduce the expenditure for about 80%.
Yeah.
And, money, you know, you will use someplace else or just generally saved. But Scott's supposedly going to come out in January with the data manufactured for the new ones that we've been waiting on. But they also emphasized that even if they start manufacturing in January, based on our place on the list, earliest we would see our new air packs be sometime in July 2025.
What's the story on the current bottles that we're waiting for?
Right now,
We
the
have,
current bottles are all part of that new air pack purchase.
We're waiting on complete air packs, bottles included.
Yeah,
They were ordered 3 years ago.
yeah.
We can stretch it out as long as we can to wait to get the new bottles. It's just gonna prolong the savings for replacing whatever, bottle we choose to buy 50, 30 years. We should down go a little bit, save some money.
They don't deliver on the ordered stuff. Can it be rolled into the new bottles?
Absolutely. We just have to expend that additional money. And again, we're not talking about a lot of money here, It would just be a very judicious purchase, saving a ton of money. Except John just said, bringing it 20, the most 25% additional cost. You're saving 75, 80%. Get twice the life out of it.
It's a tremendous deal if you guys can tolerate the weight.
Tolerating the weight on that half hour bottle with the additional, just under 2 pounds. Putting that 45-minute bottle on your back all the time, It's getting tough.
What's Stony Hill's position? I know you guys got a mix of 30-minute.
We have all 45.
It's all
I
45.
have all 40.
Probably within the next budget cycle, we should be cycling out the last of the 30 minutes and left for the next purchase of bottle. I think we have 14 bottles coming up in the next.
And they will,
I think you had 18. I think both departments had 18.
and they'll say, we'll keep them 30-minute bottles, not go to 45s. The 45-minute bottles until that.
So you're gonna be
The next purchase.
rotating back to 30 minutes.
Absolutely.
That's what I was getting at.
Yeah.
So both departments are gonna be on the same page.
You only
Going
go 18,
forward.
20 minutes. Light use out of the 30.
If you're in good shape and watch yourself, it's right at the end of it.
If you're old like us, maybe 15.
Yeah, 15, 16 minutes.
I tell you, a couple of years ago, I went on a rip call with Stony Hill and I wore one of those 45-minute bottles and I don't go close to Stony Hill anymore.
Well, basically, and Doug, you bring up a good point here, is that the additional weight of that 30-minute bottle is still going to be less than the current weight of the current 45-minute bottle. That's going to be big deal. We can't go wrong there. The other thing is, you know, in terms of fireground operations, you can literally go through 2 30-minute bottles in a fire before you got to get pulled out and go to rehab. 1 45-minute bottle of fire, you're out in rehab. So I mean,
It's more beneficial with the
It's
two
an ocean
thirties.
too. So what you're doing is you're getting more bang for the buck in terms of manpower, you know, efficiency on the fireground with these 2 30 minutes. So you come out, change your body, go back in. Now with the 45-minute body, once you're out, you're going to rehab. Period. You just lost those firefighters.
What are the career guys using down in Norwood, chief?
They
never
were
worked
dropping
out.
from the 1 hours to the 45s. And they put officers in the 30. And we were like, why? That means we have to leave before our men. So we were back to the others.
Yeah, I'm just old and out of shape, but I found
But
those
we come out
45s.
with 45s. We use up a 45, not put another one and go back in. None of us wanted to stay outside.
Can't get away with that anymore. You try.
Well, and then the other, possibility is going to the, 5,500 PSI box. So you get the same size with more air.
And I'd like to comment on that. Chief, I looked at that too, and I did the weights on that. The 55-minute bottle, you know, the 5.5s, the weight of that 5.5 bottle is going to be about the same as the weight of the new 45-minute 30-year bottle. So you're getting a hell of a lot more air, but you're also carrying a lot more weight. So there's a few departments around here that are going 5.5. Newtown, Oak and Ladder, all 3 companies in the world. Some of the New York State companies have done that. That's a considerable cost.
I know Bethel does. Do you have the capability to fill in the 5.5s at your
We got
station?
a brand new Cascade.
You do, okay. I know Bethel upgraded theirs a few years back.
Yeah, we've got the same one.
All right. All right, so just a reminder to you as well, chief, you know, going forward, you know, in the chief's reports, we're looking for, you know, call numbers, types of calls, man hours, you know, and apparatus responses to be included as well.
One of the things, Chief, that we've been trying to do downtown with these reports, is we've been very aggressive. We have to the last 2 years. Is we're also listing the equipment used.
Yeah, well, from our standpoint, it's especially the apparatus. I mean, you guys are pushing to replace and refurbish apparatus, but, you know, unless we know how often these apparatus are going out, you know, they're being used, I mean, the wear and tear on them, you know, it makes it hard for us to justify replacing them or refurbishing them.
Well, my point with that is that, when we're listing, you know, everything, amount of hose used, you know, hand tools, equipment, meters, except we're putting that down to duration of its use and everything on our fire reports. And right now, what we're showing is we're starting to see what we're using a lot of, and showing us that we're using a lot of things a lot more than we thought. And I'm going to just throw the first thing out at you: the meters. We use the meters all the time, and they're starting to show it. And we're using them a lot more than we thought we were. And that's something that we're going to have to address. You know. But we have the data to improve it.
Well, with the new reporting system, it should be easier to get this information out.
Yeah, if you do it all, yeah.
Anything else?
How many trees did you sell?
Say again?
How many trees did you sell?
How many trees?
Sold out, right? How many were there? What was the starting number? Christmas trees.
Christmas tree.
Oh, Christmas trees. I'm sorry. I've been meters and trees. We purchased 300 trees.
Nice.
The Sherman Fire Department had an issue where their supplier had a severe medical issue, couldn't provide the trees. So we sold them 25 cars. They had like $2 more just from transportation. So we had 275 trees. We were completely sold out in 5 days.
That's awesome.
So we also had the cheapest trees around. We only charged $50. Tried to make it affordable for the community. And, you know, we also thank you guys for your social media posting. People were just so happy. The next closest decent tree around was 125.
That's great.
Yep. And we also were given 25 like 3 foot, 3.5 foot trees by the vendor, King, Uncle somebody up at King, Canadian border. And because we bought so much, he gave us these things for $20 each. And what we've been able to do is establish some families in need, and we're using those small trees to assist those families.
Awesome.
Thank you. Motion to accept Chief McAllister's report for the Bethel Fire Department.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. All right, unfinished business. It's a follow-up on the, we had recommended that both departments get together and propose a lane blocking SOP. Any progress on that? I know I spoke to Chief McCollum and he said it's a work in progress. And, it's still a work in progress. I think,
I had a policy that we put together. 1 second. I mean, we've been doing it all the time. It's just a matter of getting it documented.
yeah, I mean, I think from the commission standpoint, we thought it was important if we have like a unified SOP for, both departments, especially just for, not so much on the highway, but even just around town where, if we're taking up a lane on Greenwood Avenue or Old Holyville Road, whatever, it's the same for both departments. So, I mean, that's why we wanted it to be a joint SOP between the two departments. You have some input on it?
Was it Greenwich that had the,
Yeah,
Cooper hit not that long ago?
I think so, yeah.
I just got this information that you have here about 3 o'clock this afternoon. Norwalk is taking delivery of that truck. It's a custom, not custom, but it's a freight line out of Hartford. And with that system on it, and the total price new is around $150,000 versus $750,000 for a bumper. If this is struck, the attenuator, they call it, is replaceable in town by parts. He said, there's a short 10-minute video on impacts of this thing, and it's rated for 5,000 pounds, like an SUV, at 62 miles an hour. And it's but they've got video of up to including loaded tractor trailers. So.
Just something.
think you guys got the idea.
Yes.
There's other products out there. We can't recommend one thing or the other. I'm not recommending this, but it's, I believe these devices are available to put on any vehicle. You have a dump truck from the town.
Let's just say the highway department trucks.
Yeah, and it's, the whole idea is that the safety is so important. The mayor and the commission in Norwalk actually added 4 new bodies to the department to fill out the rescue truck to 4-man, with one guy now dropping off to drive this to the scene, park it safely, then start operations. So, I mean, obviously this is dealing with highway stuff, but like Fred was saying, you get Stony Hill Road or anything like that, it's gonna keep you guys safe. So just some stuff out there. You know, it doesn't have to interfere with SOPs. It's just something to look at for you guys in the future.
And so again, not our job to, you know, create SOPs for you. I think we just wanted to see that both departments come up with a unified SOP for this, you know, especially for stuff not necessarily on the highway, but in town where we can, you know, we can share it with the police commission and hopefully get some support from the police department on, you know, how we're gonna deal with roadway incidents in town. So I guess Bethel's not really 100% on board with this yet. Still a work in progress according to people calling, so.
All I'm thinking of is, as I watched this was, the bad accident we had this afternoon. What a difference if something like that. I mean, a car came along, it was a equipment carrier, like a big flatbed trailer, but much larger, with a device up on the top of the bed that you drive off and lift up loads and you can take off or put on a load on this equipment carrier. And elderly couple came down the road, didn't see it in the darkness and the rain. And literally went up the back of his truck, catapulted in the air, and came down and hit the operator of that, the loader that was on top, and pushed it through the cab of the truck. And, they were all banged up pretty good, but just thinking if this device had been on the ground behind it, it would have made a massive difference in the injuries that we saw today. So, nice.
So I'll make a motion that we table this for another month until Bethel can get on board and make this a unified SOP between the two departments.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Next item on the agenda is consideration of the incentive proposals that were proposed by Captain Troy last month. Any input from the departments on that?
We looked at it and it didn't seem to be enough. I think they're all great ideas and I think they should be implemented because they are such a insignificant impact to the town as far as financially. But a lot of the feedback that I was getting from our membership was that they were looking for more of a monetary value of a pay per call type of a system. Because a lot of that, the membership wasn't going to be able to take advantage of it. Whether it was, you know, free use of the transfer station, most of the kids don't deal with the trash themselves. Free parking at the train station, most of them don't get the train. So a lot of that was very specific to a small personnel. So, but everybody could use cash. So that's why they were looking at big, and that's what we've seen in some of the departments in the area doing a pay-per-call system. So what would have to be discussed is, again, how many people were meeting the current system. I think last year we had maybe about a dozen people that were eligible for the tax abatement, and maybe even a couple less. So we're not talking a lot of people. But with that said, I don't think that we should use that same requirement because you have to be there for 2 years before you're going to get anything at all. We should be offering something to these people from day one.
What did you say, John? 12 people?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree with you. I think that if you're eligible, whether you got 1 day or 20 years or 40 years, that you should be eligible. I'm kind of torn between what the requirements should be. Some of the discussion I've had with Dan, the first selectman, was that it should be strictly based on calls. I mean, that's his concern, is covering calls. Why, we realize the value of the training and all the hours put in with everything else that, makes the fire departments go around. When the average taxpayer, who's ultimately gonna be footing the bill for this, picks up the phone and dials 911, all they care about is somebody's gonna show up. So,
And I think staffing should be taken into consideration also, because not only are you making sure that the call gets covered, but you're basically at the firehouse to reduce the time.
yeah, I think my personal opinion, I think, is I kind of lean towards making the requirements based on number of calls or staffing hours incurred, as opposed to giving credit for training hours, meeting hours, going to parades, bake sales, whatever the case may be. And I think Dan's kind of leaning that way as well. I don't know what Rich's feeling is on it, but I mean, if we want to try to get this funded in this year's budget, we got to get these numbers together like now. I mean, if you say 12 people, and we say that 12 people would be eligible for a $2,000 abatement, which is, I believe, is the maximum abatement. That gives us a dollar amount that the town could count on.
But that's only the people that had been there for over 2 years and made the 50 call minimum. So there's more that would be eligible this year if you made the requirement of, regardless of the number of years, from day one, and you make 50 calls, you're going to get more people.
Yeah, I don't know how the rest of the commission feels, but I mean, I think if, like I said, the guy that comes in and he's got, 1 year of service versus the guy that's got 40 years of service, if you made whatever the set eligibility is, you should be entitled to the
It has
benefit.
to be something other than the tax abatement though, because like the younger kids in the firehouse, they have nothing to write off. They're
The car is rented, the car's staying.
Yeah, no, I understand, but you guys haven't come to us with any, anything definitive yet. I mean, all we have is what Matt brought us last month. And I mean, you seem to be indicating to us that you don't think those incentives are going to be beneficial other than the tax abatement.
Keep in mind that the tax abatement is a full $2,000 or whatever it is you get. They give you a cash check, you're getting 1099 at the end of the year.
That's right.
My $1,000 from Westport EMS every year was $600 when it came time after taxes were done. So,
Yeah, I think they've changed it back now. It's a true abatement now.
well, I don't live in town, so they give me a check. People in town got the full $1,000 off their taxes, right?
Currently, Bethel doesn't offer anything to the out-of-towners currently.
That's the thing.
That's subject to a recommendation
Yeah,
to change.
but that's it. If you're looking for incentive to keep people,
Right. I mean, but like I said, if we're trying to move something into this coming year, now's the time to do it. We gotta,
Needs a line item
exactly. So
and a plan.
unless you guys can come to us with a firm plan, and the plan has to be the same for both departments. We can't have, one department having a, X requirement and the other department having B requirement. And it's gotta be the same town-wide.
Well, maybe we can solve one thing. Can we all collectively agree that the 2-year membership first goes out the window, right?
Yeah.
Applied to everyone from day one, right? Yeah, I think you said it. I support that. That's the way it should be.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think we need to agree that we need to move into the maximum allowed state abatement, because I mean, right now it's capped at
So we're
$1,000.
looking at two different things here. You want to revamp the eligibility for the tax abatement.
to any
Or
Because
for
right
any
now-
program. I separate
Right,
from
well,
whether
that's what I'm
it's tax
saying
or
is
for any
you should
program.
still keep the tax abatement and then also have on top of that an incentive program.
Right, I think we need to upgrade the abatement program.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I mean, right now it's capped at $1,000 and it's based on years of service.
Correct, and it's a tier where you can't even get the full abatement until you've been here for 10+ years.
Right. That's,
So what you're proposing is to get the full allotment.
I would propose
from the
being
first year.
eligible for the full abatement, no matter your years of service, strictly based on your eligibility, you know, whatever the eligibility is that we make for
Right,
all
so we can
requirement,
make
what
this
have
really
you.
easy and just come up with a number of calls that you have to make within the given year to be eligible for the full allotment and be done with it.
But do you do a number of calls or do you do a percentage of the calls? Because there's, well, Stony Hill's getting a lot closer to Bethel. Bethel still does have more calls. So that's why I say,
No, I've always said it should be a percentage of calls.
that's what I'm trying to say. It should be go with a percentage versus an actual call number. And do we weigh a staffing hour the same as a call? I mean, is one staffing hour equal to one call or is half a staffing hour? I don't know.
Just making comparisons to some of the surrounding towns. Let's say we're averaging 8 firefighters per call downtown now, which is pretty close. All right. And each firefighter gets $10 a call. So that's $80 per call. When we do 500 calls, that appropriation will be $40,000 for the year. Last year, and I remember this distinctly from a couple of months ago at the monthly meeting, there was only 13 people downtown who got the taxi payment. So you had what, 12? It's not working. And if you look at the statistics from the National Volunteer Firemen's Council, the average volunteer fireman's only hang around 4 to 5 years. So I like the idea that you start right off the bat. Let's maybe that'll keep them there 5 or 6 years, or 6 or 7 years. If you can provide that incentive.
You want to incentivize them to start and stay, not stay, right? The way it's set up now, you're incentivizing people to stay. You want to get them to start.
Well, you know, and the first couple of years in a fire department is your busiest years. You're doing all your certified training, learning the apparatus, et cetera, You're putting hundreds and hundreds of hours. And they need to be taken care of right off the bat. I agree.
But then what are you going to have as far as an incentive for retention of longevity? If you're going to give everything right from the start, what is my incentive to stay longer?
That's right at the end of the year.
Keep getting it.
Just to get it every year. Okay.
Billy, just to contact you, do you have any contacts in Utah to talk to them about what they do for their?
Yeah, well, no, I did the books for years. It's based on your rank. So it's like $4 for a firefighter, 5 for a lieutenant, 6 for a captain, 7 for an assistant or deputy, and $8 for a chief per call.
They have a paid drivers.
Paid driver thing is $10 per hour, but there's a cap on that to avoid having them bring it to full time to get benefits. So there's a cap on that, and that you have to apply for that to the commissioners to get that for the individual fire company.
There's also Department of Labor laws that have to be taken
Right.
into consideration. You
Yeah,
can only
what's it,
pay a
29
volunteer, I forget what that number is, but a certain percentage of what you would ordinarily pay somebody to actually do the job. So like, if you're gonna pay a volunteer X dollars, it can only be, I think it's 20% of what you would pay a career firefighter to do the same job.
But just to address what Chief Baker just said was, what do you do in terms of percentages? And what they did, and it was about the Cape, was that if you made, let's say, 25% of the cost, it was a small cash stipend. If you made 40% of the cost, you got a little bit more, 50. Obviously, most people would go past 2/3 of the calls, and that would be the max. So you could get $250 if you made the 25% of the calls, 500, 750, 1,000. Given at the end of the year, when all the calls are added up, as an additional incentive as well. $10 calls nice, but and really, I can tell you, a lot of people would not be getting a big bonus. They get something, it'd be nice, but what you're doing there is you're taking care of the people who come around all the time.
And Dan had spoken about setting up like Voya accounts, which is like it's like a retirement account essentially, like a 401 and funding those, you know, so that you guys, so the members are getting the money now as opposed to,
I know some kids in Newtown who do that.
Yeah.
And the checks go directly for that.
Hey, who do we contact to get the information what Newtown uses? Because I have a guy in Southbury, I'm getting information.
I would, go right to the chairman of the board of fire commissioners. That's Pat Riley. And I'll
Do you have his-
get his number. I think I have it.
I think that's what we need to do, Fred, is have like these other towns, what they do, sit down and review what they do and try to implement something along them lines.
right. The real problem is we're up against a timeline right now because of budget season.
Do it sooner than later, hopefully within the next week or so.
All right, so I'll,
You know, I'm not speaking for the board or selectmen or the board of finance, but maybe we can put a placeholder in that we're developing this, that, you know, we're looking at an incentive for the fire departments and we want to set aside, I'm picking on $40,000 this year.
yeah. Well,
So that's a possibility.
I mean, the tax payment is already in place and it's just, it needs fine tuning. I think we should expedite fine tuning, you know, the tax abatement, you know, let's come up with a joint requirement for it, you know, between the two departments, whether it's, you know, 10% of the total call volume or, you know, somehow you incorporate staffing hours into there and give a value to a staffing hour. You know, was one staffing hour the same as one call, or you need, you know, whatever. Let's come up with something between the two departments that's unified and at least get the tax abatement moving forward. And like Rich said, maybe we could put a placeholder in, you know, a certain dollar amount to get some other incentives going forward.
But I agree with Chief Baker that, you know, we need to look at something else because a lot of the younger people don't own a house, they own a car.
They have no tax
So
liability.
I don't even think we're, allowing for the maximum of the 2,000. I think we're still at 1,000.
We're still at $1,000,
So
right?
that's gotta get bumped up and, you know, like Rich is saying, most of these kids don't, unless you own a house, you're never gonna max it.
And the new statute also allows for the older guys that have 25 years of continuous service, they can get the abatement in perpetuity after 25 years of continuous service with no further obligation.
I'd like to comment, Chief, on what you said, Rich, about the placeholder. I did that when I was deputy chief of Woodbury 24 years ago. Board of Finance chairman was a friend of mine. She came to me one day after church. She said, "You guys got to get some money for your guys going to calls." And I said, "Do you have an idea?" She said, "Yes." She said, "We're getting near the budget like this." She said, "I want to put a placeholder amount in. Come up with where you think you're going to be, what you want per call." And she said, "I'll make it happen." So I made the report and I said, I wanted $10 a call per man. And she said, brought it back in a work session with the Board of Finance. She came back. We're going to put that money in the account, she said. But first 6 months of this year, we're only going to give you $5 a call. If you can prove that you've increased your call volume, your response volume,
Yeah.
she said, in the second 6 months, we will drop it. We'll raise it to $10. And we did. We increased it by a third. Bang, at the end of 6 months, everybody went to $10 and they still get $10 a call. And it's expanded now where they get paid to $10 for every hour of training they do, up to 8 hours a month. And it's worked out very well.
But we need the paper information on it, Billy, I think.
Yeah, okay, yeah, we'll get it together.
And if we get a special meeting to discuss it, we can.
Yeah. Yeah,
So we're setting.
I don't know if $40,000 for each department is gonna float right off the,
That was Woodbury small department, you know, that was like 50, 60 guys.
That's not a lot.
I know it's not a lot, but I mean, it's 25% of your current budgets. You know, you're talking about, 25% increase to your annual budget right there. I know it's not a lot, but I don't know.
A lot cheaper than going to a paid department.
Absolutely.
That's my point.
But also the conversation I've had with Brad, the last couple of months, is things are gonna be tight this year.
Things are tight every year.
Things are tight every year.
It's just John is saying that.
Yeah. All right.
They might be able to have a different line item, not even put it in the firehouse's budget.
Oh, no, absolutely.
yeah, it
But
could be in,
I'm just saying, it's still, I mean,
It's still,
It's still good, you know.
it still comes out of the town coffers.
I mean, you know, if you're talking $80,000-$100,000 between, you know, the two departments, then plus, you know, upgrading, you know, upping the tax abatement. You know, while the tax, it's not an expense, it's less revenue. You know, the tax abatements, you know, it's revenue the town wouldn't see if more people are eligible for a larger abatement than in the past.
For those 4 new guys on the rescue truck in Norwalk, that's probably $750,000 a year for 4 guys. It's not a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, 10 years ago when I was chief, I was figuring $6.5 million to staff one engine, you know, for the town. You know, if we ever went to a paid situation.
I actually got my other card out from another meeting tonight. 4 members on a ladder company on one shift. Cost of keeping them employed with benefits equals what the entire volunteer budget is in the city. It's not much.
All right, does anybody have a motion on this? Do you want to table it?
Well, let's table it, but let's work on it.
Yeah, no, definitely, we need to work on it.
Gotta get in the budget.
I
And I think
think
whether,
me
whether
and Billy
it's-
McAllister are gonna work on it during the week.
Okay with that?
All right,
Well,
So if we
can we
can,
make
you said
motion
you wanted to have a
place
special
order?
meeting to go
And then
over
work
the
on it
operating budget.
next one.
So can we just make that?
I can add that on to the special meeting.
well, we need a motion.
When's the
Probably has to
budget
be part of
hearing?
the budget.
Did Fred mention?
Brad wants
Because
to
I
meet,
just mentioned, should we recommend a placeholder now for the board of selectmen, board of finance?
That's
they don't have budget hearings until the end of March, April.
No.
We can just ask the departments to put it in their budgets.
We got time.
There's plenty of
Like I
money.
said, we can,
All right,
we
well,
can add this on
we'll
to
look
the
at
agenda.
it to the next meeting.
Yeah, we can add this onto the agenda for a special meeting or,
I can add that line. Real quick.
all right, so
That's the
I'll,
next step, right? So maybe
sure it's
maybe
high
it
enough.
doesn't fly this time, but now it's starting to show up and it's showing up and it's showing up and it'll start
Well,
to get
maybe we'll give
traction.
you half of it.
Yeah.
This should fly.
yeah, I mean, and Dan's on board with it. He wants to see something.
It should fly because everybody's crying that people aren't around.
I mean, nobody wants to pay a fire department. We can't, this town can't afford it. All right, so I'll make a motion that we table the consideration of the incentive program to be determined special meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. All right, I think that was it for unfinished business.
We had the budget expenditure.
Oh, yes, consideration of future budget expenditures.
So in thinking about it, I think, like, I don't think we want to see recurring stuff, right? And we also don't want to slow anything down. But
No.
maybe it's for purchases that are non-emergency purchases. Some purchases are going to come up that have to happen, right? You can't go talk to someone about it. But maybe we put a threshold in there that's like 2,000 or 3,000, or if it's over that, it has to come here first for approval.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason this comes up is because, we get these, budget reports every month, although we have.
Last year's.
Or last year. But I mean, we see these and basically all we get is like, a whole list of vendors' names and a dollar amount. And we really have no idea what, I mean, you look at this and you see AAA emergency listed like, 24 times. And you just don't know what the expense is, so. I think anything that's not a specific line item in your budget and over a certain dollar amount, it should require approval from the fire commission before that money is spent. Doug said 2,000. I would tend to lean more towards 1,500, but. You guys have thoughts?
Well, if it's something that they already had in their budget.
Yeah, if it's a line item in your budget, I don't care. I don't need to hear
But we
about it.
need to see that. That was a line item in the budget.
I think basically this comes down to is, we get down to, the end of May and the department's still got, 40% of their budget left. And then all of a sudden you spend 40% of your budget in 1 month. And we see these big ticket items and we have no idea what they are. It just makes it kind of hard for us to, go through your budgets and approve your budgets, prepare your budgets, when we don't really know where the money is going. So, I mean, it's not like we want to be big brother and tell you you can't spend the money. We want to know what the money's being spent on. So I'll make a motion that going forward, any expenses out of the general budget that aren't specifically an included line item in your budget over $1,500 need to come before the fire commission for approval before expenditure.
Second.
There's a motion made, second. Any further discussion?
1,500. This. That's that way easy today. That's 2 tires. Tires have their own line item.
Tires,
But I'm just,
Yeah,
that's just 2 tires.
I have one question. Just saying tires here. We got a flat tire. We gotta have a special meeting to buy 2 tires for the park.
No.
That would be an emergency
Emergency
expense.
purchase.
But we would see that. I mean, that would come up and I would say, you know, okay, you had this expense, you know, for $1,700. It wasn't approved. What is it? You know, as opposed to just seeing, you know, AAA emergency listed 17 times. Hey,
And I wouldn't look at it,
We could do that
we could try it and see how it goes.
every month when you get the report, we could come with our invoices and show you what that expenditure was, if that's what you want. I have that photo with me today. But we don't have the right details to cross-reference, but it seems like it's tying our hands. We put in the budget, this is what we're purchasing based on our budget, staying within our budget. And now it's gonna slow down the process of purchasing. Now I've got to wait till the next, commission meeting before I can make the purchase of something that we already got the money budgeted for.
right, that's why I say if it's a line item that's already budgeted
Yeah,
for,
you're
we
gonna
don't
see,
care.
like, I just got a bill, I think $14,000 from AAA, but that's for the 8 sets of gear that we were allotted, so a portion of that.
So that's in the line item.
Correct. Right, so that's what I'm saying, is most of what you're talking about is already happening.
I think he's referring to non-line.
So this isn't gonna be an issue till the end of the budget season, and if you have surplus, that's when you're gonna have to have something approved to be purchased. Is that what you're
Other
alluding to?
other than something that you want that wasn't a line item to begin with.
Well, I mean, just for an example, like last month, I questioned something in the training account for Bethel. It was like a $3,500 expense in the training account for Bethel, and I questioned it. And Chief McCullough says, "Oh yeah, I bought shirts for all the instructors." I'm like, well, don't you have a stationware line item? You have a stationware line item in your equipment and supplies account. Oh, well, we're going to spend that money on shirts too. It just. There was no line item in the training budgets for stationwear or shirts, but yet you spent $3,500 out of the training budget to buy shirts, and you haven't spent any money out of the equipment and supplies account yet to buy shirts. So, I kind of question those types of things.
So you want the departments to come before the commission to approve a purchase like that?
Question.
Yeah.
So just for clarification reasons, so if it's not a line item and you wanted to move money around in the account, purchase something that's not a line item, in addition to purchasing something above $1,500, let's say towards the end of the budget cycle, then it would just ask the department to come in and discuss. It's basically what you're saying. Oh, I mean, so.
I think the key is like I said, we get to May, and well, I mean, let's just look at, where did I pull out? Here's Stony Hills from last year, and if I go back to here's May. In May, you'd only expended 61% of your budget, and by July, you were 3% over. I mean, look at Bethel. And if I go to Bethel's and I go back to Mag. Oh, that's still something else. There, this is Bethel's. Oh, confused myself. I don't know what I do with Bethel's, but. That's my point, though. I mean, like I said, 61% of your budget was spent in May. You still had roughly 40% left, and all of a sudden, 40% disappears in a month and a half.
I think what the problem is that we're waiting on the budget to make sure everything's spent and then spending whatever's left over on the stuff that we need or want, to extra stuff that we want.
Right. That's the point right there, Doug, is it's need versus wants.
So a lot of that stuff that you're talking about isn't being spent until close to the end of the budget season, such as getting the trucks through their annual maintenance and inspections. Hose testing isn't done right away in the budget. You know, it would be easy if everything that you knew was going to be an annual cost was all done at the beginning of the budget, and then you know where you stand for unforeseen repairs, unforeseen costs and replacements. But we don't have that, so everything has to wait until the end.
So you're holding back.
We're holding back right till the end.
And I don't see an issue as long as the budget's coming in.
Not the normal budget.
You know,
Well, that's the problem. Both departments went over last year.
3%, but I understand that's an issue, but I don't, you know what I mean? If you get the budget somewhere in the area and you're not, you know, astronomically going over, I don't see me personally. And I do this in the city, in my city budget in the city, when it comes to the end of the year, I'm told, here's the number that you have, this is what you have to spend. And we go and buy 4 or 5 chainsaws and all of our ropes and stuff for the following year, but we wait until the end of the year to spend our budget.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. I think the real issue, like I said, is when we look at these reports, most we're seeing is a vendor name and a dollar. And so here we are in December, and we're trying to prepare next year's budget. And we're going to look at your budget, and you're going to request X amount of dollars for X equipment. But we look at, your expenditures from last year, and we have no idea what you bought.
So how would we just break it down every month?
Well, John was saying, so I mean, you provide a report of.
No, what I do is I keep a copy of the invoices that are submitting to the town. So if you want the chiefs to come with the invoices that were submitted during the course of the previous month, we can come in with them and say, okay, well, what was this $1,300 purchase? Okay, when we go through the invoices, here it is. This is what it was spent on.
Well, I mean, maybe that's something we do. As part of the chief's reports, you guys submit your monthly, copy of your invoices that have been submitted.
There's just field questions. I mean, we look at the budget, we cover questions on something, you have the invoices.
You say you're already doing it, right? I mean,
Yeah, like I said, I've got that whole movie of all the invoices I have for this fiscal year.
All right, so I'll withdraw my motion and I'll make a motion that as part of the chief's reports, the chiefs just submit a copy of their invoices from the previous month.
So I think that Sebi is on board on getting you the financials. So.
Well, I have to remind her every month, but yeah, she is on board.
Okay. So if that's the case, then the chiefs just have to become prepared to answer questions on the financials. And they should be bringing all the invoices that they received, and then we'll be able to answer questions.
Can it be done electronically so it'll kill trees?
Some of them we still get through US mail, so we could probably try and scan them in if you want to try and get every.
I just don't want to see you guys handcuffed when it comes to spending something that needs to be fixed. Have to come here to get permission.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's not the
Just to try and take some of that burden off of the chiefs and the departments. I don't understand why upstairs can't do that. Anytime they pay a bill, scan it in and provide that to whoever, whether it's the chief's back. This is what we paid, as a receipt or to the fire commission.
Might be a way to do it.
And then you would have it before we'd even have to answer it. And you could say, I see that you paid, you bought this. Why did you have to buy this?
We could have that ahead of time too.
And you would have to on it.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, part of the responsibilities and the duties of the fire commission is to review the, budget expenditures, each month. That's part of our job. And every month when this comes up on the agenda, is anybody have any questions on the expenditures? No. Everybody, looks at these and they see a list of vendors.
I see a vendor, I see a number. I don't see why.
Right,
So I don't have a question on something I don't know what it is.
right. Well, that's the issue. I think we want to know what it is. How do we get to that point where we know what it is? Without sitting here and looking and going through every line. Okay, John, what was this $172 expense at Bethel Power? What was the $15 expense at Northeastern? What is Uline?
Right,
We don't even know what half these vendors
I have no
are.
problem knowing what it is that they're doing. I just don't want to stop them from doing what they need to do.
No, I don't want to stop them from doing what they're doing either. It's,
But I think the idea, the invoices work for company, the numbers. When we get these email tools, if the invoice were in a packet,
I even just set a dollar value. Any purchases over, $1,000 or, whatever you set as amount, then Sebby or Sam can say, all right, I need to get a copy of this to the fire commission. Do I need to tell you I spent $6 on a flashlight battery?
No.
That's what I'm saying. How much am I really needing to bring to the meetings? And if it can be provided by the town versus me, that's less work on me.
Let's say anything
There's
over $500.
I'll always control my motion and hopefully somebody can come up with a better motion.
Do we even need a motion? Can we just ask and see what we can get?
I would just ask Sebby upstairs and see if this is feasible. If it's not, then you gotta come back to us and then the burden just falls back on us to, bring receipts of anything purchases made over the previous month of $500.
Yeah, but 500, that's very low.
All right, or 1,000, whatever you want to do.
Doug said 2,000, I said 1,500.
well, if it's just to provide, if it's just to provide receipts, 1,500 is okay. Anything over 1,500, a receipt is provided. But that way they don't have to come in and ask before they do it.
But I think.
Yeah, I think we took all the asks before you do it.
Yeah, if you're gonna have to provide it, that's good.
Every month regardless. You know what I mean?
I say that again, but
John does it in an Excel spreadsheet with all the receipts on it already. I don't know. Oh, you don't?
No, I just have a copy of the invoice. I don't make a spreadsheet.
So what are you saying? You have a copy of every invoice you submitted?
Correct. So if it comes in the US mail,
Well, like these guys
I
said,
make a
that's a lot of
photocopy
trees.
of it. Because then I'll put down the date it was paid, the account and line item that it's coming out of, whether it's, something that's got to be paid out of supplies and equipment, whether it's coming out of vehicle maintenance, house maintenance, I'll write that on it and I'll keep that in the file. And one copy goes to the town.
Maybe
So if
the
it comes
commission,
mail, some of
because
them come into the email, then I'll print them out, but either way, I have to have a file. Now, there's also starting to get a little bit paperless where each department has access to Amazon, and all we have to do is ask for it to be approved. It goes to Sam upstairs, and based on what you're purchasing, he'll approve or deny it, and I don't even have to have any receipts because it's going to them for approval. And I'll put in, all right, I'm buying, 6 flashlight batteries for $76, and then in the comment section, I can say, take it out of the 5202 account, which is, supplies and equipment, and it's done. But you'll see it on there. I forget what the actual name is for the Amazon account. It doesn't say Amazon. And you'll see it on there as a line item. I think it comes up quarter.
maybe as opposed to you like asking for, approval to spend it or providing us with invoices for everything. Maybe the commission just gets these, balance sheets every month and God says he's got all the invoices. And the chief can certainly do the same. Maybe as a commission, we just question every
Yeah,
expenditure.
just have it available to question.
Yeah.
That's why I
I
said,
started
don't
with
put an amount that you want to see.
You did? So the commission would question every expenditure over,
Yes.
$1,500 feet here.
If you set the dollar amount, all you have to do is say, make sure that you come to every meeting. We get the financials, you get the financials, go through the financials before the meeting and bring every receipt over X dollar value that you come up with.
Let's just pick a number, start with a try. 15.
15.
all right, make a motion. Somebody make a motion.
Make a motion that the chiefs of department bring with them invoices for everything over $1,500 on a monthly basis.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
All right, let's see how it goes.
Yeah.
Doesn't work, doesn't work. We do something else.
All right, so we got that. All right, that's it for unfinished business. New business.
No, we're not. Review 2003 financials. Yeah, 23 financials.
That's new business. Yeah, we're gonna have to, off the table, the review of the November financials because currently I have November of 23's financials. So a motion to table November's review of November's financials
Second.
to our next regular meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Consideration of the 25, 26 fiscal year budgets. Yeah, I don't have anything, so we'll make a motion to table that to a special meeting on a date to be determined.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Like I said, to be fair to Doug, I don't want to submit what I have. So you have a chance to read it.
Doug, if I'm correct, your commission expires this month?
Uh-huh.
Yes,
That's why I want to set that.
so I'll make a motion that we recommend that Doug commission be re-upped.
Second.
Make that recommendation to be, selected.
Abstain.
Ray seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carry. In January, Doug's going to be the new chief in Stony Hill. Currently, John is the ex officio member on the commission for the Stony Hill Fire Department. I assume that Doug is going to, Doug's going to want to take that. So I'll make a motion that we recommend that Doug Emanuska be appointed to the ex officio position on the commission to represent the Stony Hill Fire Department.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Congratulations, by the way, Doug. Let's see. All right, consideration of special meeting dates to finalize the budget proposals. I don't even know if we're going to get to finalize them. Consideration of a special meeting date to go over the budget proposals. Good. That's soon. They have a recommendation on a date in the next week or two. Needs to work or cannot work. Is you have days that are available, not available? Wednesdays. Start with Wednesdays right now, the 18th.
18th is next Wednesday. One after that's Christmas. The one after that's New Year's Day. So if we're gonna do it December,
Yeah, no.
sounds like next week.
You guys gotta,
Oh, yeah. I'll be.
you guys be able to have something together by the 18th? Like you did the 18th?
Like I said, it's already.
What's happening downtown, Chief McAllister? Gonna have something together by the 18th?
Can't make any promises. Wish I could. I really can't.
All right, so I'll make a motion that we schedule a special meeting to review the, fire department budget proposals for December 18th at 7 PM. Second,
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. And we need to approve our regular meeting schedule for 2025. Casey prepared the list of dates. I want to review them real quick. I don't see any complications there personally. I'll make a recommendation that set the 2025 meeting schedule as outlined. Secretary. Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Do I have anything else? Did I cover it all?
Got it all.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
Oh, we're still time.